Okay. I don't know why you're all here, because we're not famous.
We're not famous.
Doug's not here, you know.
I haven't met Doug. She hasn't met Doug. These two have.
Yeah. Coleman practically married Doug one year. Didn't get to talk about it.
There was a slight issue in Illinois that, like, for about 5 minutes, gay marriage was legal, and they made it happen.
Then Rob got jealous. Okay. This is a really long panel. So
without chairs.
Yes.
I guess we have to bring our own. Like, if we were like first tier abridgers or Doug, they'd have been like, "Would you like a chair?" But we're like, no.
So because it's going to be so long, just start off with questions, the open questions that we can go into meandering and pointless stories about that you might or might not find funny, or do you just want us to be all like, "Hello, I make video. You not know who I am because I not spoony."
Why did you use your language abilities for that?
Huh?
Why didn't you?
Get staff member to get some chairs.
That would be good too. That's a good suggestion.
Hello.
Oh crap, sorry.
Just watch the cable, that's all.
Okay. Any questions to begin with while we're doing warm up here without chairs?
I suppose I'll open up with asking about your biggest inspirations that got you started on the career bandwagon.
Who wants to take that to start off with?
I'll go last because I have really funny things.
I guess that means I go first. There, microphone?
Oh yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Got to get easy on my voice, sort of throat at the minute. My sort of inspirations for sort of doing the video thing is, I was one of those people that saw Doug when he was on YouTube the first time around. So we're talking 2008, 2007-ish. I saw Doug around that time. So a lot of my show is admittedly inspired by Doug. The original concept was that three of my friends were sort of doing the review thing, and we'd all do episodes together. And you can sort of see that in the earlier videos, because some of them weren't edited by me, and we shared scripting duties and things like that. But basically we tried various ways of trying to make it different from what Doug was doing at the time. The current movie aspect, for example, is something that we picked deliberately to try and separate ourselves from Doug. No, I'm not so sure. But there are some things you can see in the pilot episode, the Pluto Nash video, that obviously didn't connect. Like one of the ideas, which in retrospect was a really stupid idea at the time, so I don't understand why it crossed my mind when we were filming it, but originally we were going to do shaky cam style. I'm not even kidding, sort of like the late 90s, oh, we got attitude sort of thing. So the camera. So you'll notice in that Pluto Nash video there are some really weird like camera movements and things like that, because apparently we were trying to be an edgy 90s dating show.
I don't know what that was, because I just figured I hadn't got a tripod yet.
No, here's the thing.
Like hang it from a
The
string.
first time the episode was produced, I sent it to Angry Joe, and Angry Joe said, you know, this is actually pretty good, but you gotta reshoot some of this, because it's really shaky, like unwatchably so. So if you watch that video back, you can blatantly tell which ones are the reshoots, because they're actually stable and don't look like shit. Because all the footage from the first shoot was also really overexposed, whereas the second shoot actually came out quite crisp. I do have quite a lot of inspirations for my work. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't inspired by other reviewers. Spoonie, I was a big fan of. Brad, especially lately, I'm a big fan of Brad, so I take a lot of inspiration from his work. But there were a couple of other ones as well. Do you remember Harry Hill's TV Burp?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I took a little bit of inspiration from that. A lot of people sort of go, well, where does the head nodding thing come from? I'm like, it comes from that. Like that is sort of the thing with the head nodding, is that it just sort of came from that inspiration, because he does a lot of sort of weird movements. You can even tell in some of the earlier episodes that I deliberately called to that, because he has this very specific thing where he turns to a camera that's on his side angle. There's usually some sort of cutaway joke. I did that gag a couple of times. I think the most recent one, I think the most recent one wasn't obviously something like that. It was I think the only time I've used a side camera like that recently is in the Scissors review, where I was making fun of the fact that I have so many DVDs. So many. So yeah. The other one, Charlie Brooker.
Oh,
Yes. You could probably tell once I said that. It's like, yeah, that does sort of make a lot of sense. I used to be very much into Screen White back in the day, very much watching that alongside Doug's videos. So the sort of edgy, sort of caustic humour in my videos, there's a little bit of a depth to that as well. Although I do, in hindsight, wish that I hadn't copied his gags of where he pretends to wank himself, because I did that a few times. By the way, I've been re-editing all my videos to put up on YouTube. This hasn't really been working out very well, but those scenes are not going to be in there, because, you know, my sense of shame kind of brought me, sort of said, no, I'm putting this on YouTube, it's going to last forever, isn't it? Probably shouldn't have them there. But yeah, those are my inspirations.
Yeah, and I'm the least important one because I'm not even on Channel Awesome. I was rejected. But if you don't know, I'm from another site called The Agony Booth, which is kind of like Jonathan here is, only I make videos, so I get to be with these guys, and because they're so nice. And I know a couple of people on Channel Awesome, and actually like help the people who just joined Channel Awesome now and got through the audition came original from The Agony Booth. So we can see we're kind of the starting point for a lot of people where they go on and do things and is an inspiration point and so on. Oh, Barrick! Oh, Barrick! Yay! Well, most people, funny enough, come into video reviewing and so on because they are very much into movies and directing and so on. I came into it because I do a lot of theatre and I do a lot of stage theatre and have always done, and my biggest childhood dream ever since I was 5 was that I wanted to be a comedian. So I worked on some stages and done some musicals and still do street performance and do some stand-up and so on. And I'm also a huge nerd that, you know, I love all the nerdy things and superheroes and so on. So I also found Doug on YouTube and thought, oh my god, he's making entertainment by showing off his nerdy stuff and his knowledge. Cool, that's so cool. But I didn't have the time at the time to make videos because I made all this stage stuff. But then at that point, I didn't have anything to do with the stage and so on, and I thought it was time just to make internet reviews to see if I could, you know, what can I do to get out there and be a comedian and so on when I don't have a stage right now. So I started to make my video reviews and put them out, and was eventually picked up by The Agony Booth. My inspiration was also Doug Walker and Linkara and Spoonie and so on. And Thalis I also really liked. And yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, so my inspiration was not Doug. Sorry. Don't tell him. Probably already did. No. So when I was in high school, I had a crush on a girl. True story now. And she said, "I'm taking Latin next year. Are you taking Latin?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm taking Latin." And so because of a crush on a straight girl, I took 2 years of Latin, I learned how to play the trombone, and I joined the school's softball team. So I think that was a very valuable skill set to get off the crush. And so I actually didn't watch anyone from the Reviewerverse. I've been watching Nazi Pro Show since like 2007, but I just never blundered into any of the other people. And I knew Nash from the LARP Club, and I used to watch Radio Dead Air, and he started putting people from That Guy with the Glasses on. And I think it was like July of that year, he showed a reviewer who seemed pretty crazy and screaming about Nazi pornography. And that was Elsa, She-Wolf of the SS. And then the next week, I think he played Rat's Night of Terror. And a whole bunch of men from Hong Kong. And a friend of mine, who was also from the LARP group, Derek the Bard, he said, "Oh, I know her. She's Irish. She's real nice to work with. Her name was Diamanda Hagan." And so I was pretty drunk, because it was a Monday night. So I had another tab up and like, Diamanda Hagan. Oh, she's got a whole bunch of videos, I don't know. And so eventually we got talking over YouTube. And I think you said, I think it was like in like September, October, you said, you know, you're really funny. You should do reviews too. And I was like, no. But then, you know, like that the viral video of the baby in the bathroom, no. But then I was like, but I could really impress this girl if I did that. I wonder how much a webcam would cost me. And so, oh my god, it was so bad. So I did everything exactly the way she did in hers, and it was like a really long synopsis. I tried to do the entirety of the series The Max from the 90s, and it was like 25, 30 minutes long, and I was like, oh, look how long it is, just like Diamanda Hagan. And I just never stopped. And there you go. But Doug Walker was very important to me in my life, and Phallus has touched me in very inappropriate places. No, that's a lie. I've only met Phallus like twice. But yeah, like all the people on Channel, some are nice, and like all the people on, I know like most of the people on the Ivy are really nice too. And I used to be on Reviewtopia for a while. They're all really nice, except for whoever I was annoyed with that month. Yeah, so, boo. Anyone else have a question?
Was there ever a review or a project in general that each of you wanted to do, but ultimately you scrapped it?
I'm gonna let people go first.
There are a lot, to be honest, because sometimes I get bogged down with things and then I don't come back round to them again. I was intending to do a review of Food Fight, and then everyone got to it, which was unfortunate because I was one of the first bastards that paid for it. Because I bought it before it went on a US release.
I found it in Poundland for £1.
I paid $3, and that was 7 weeks after it came out. I think I overpaid for it slightly in retrospect.
Just a bit.
Oh god, I think I bought pound you overpaid for it. I bought 10 copies and gave it to various friends.
Friends?
Are you sure they're your friends?
That's an interesting...
are evil!
That is a very interesting way of saying foes.
I think he sent me one. Did you send me one?
Yes, I sent you one.
Yes.
Alongside Merlin.
Look what you've done.
But yeah, everyone's kind of gone to that one already, so maybe I'll do something else. I have got a couple of animated titles that I might look into, because a lot of people go, well, how come you haven't done any more animated titles? Because I think the only one I've done as a Bad Beat Down episode properly is something like Ratatouille. So...
That's the voice of Dr. Eggman, and it blew my mind when I heard that.
I know, my friend who was co-writing that episode, the reason that it's so Professor Saylewood heavy is because he was writing that episode, so he knew more about that kind of thing than I did, because I'm not really into the whole animation thing as much as some other reviewers, which is kind of why I don't do a lot of animation reviews in the first place, is that I'm sort of more geared into action and comedy genres, generally. I mean, I don't mind a good animation. I reviewed several animations on Projector, most of them not very good. Hello, Top Cat.
I was going to say, yeah.
I kind of like that one.
Yeah.
It was nice.
There was a couple of others that I scrapped because I couldn't get them to work. Talk was one of them. And Talk's an interesting case because everyone remembers Talk because it's the motorcycle rip-off of the Fast and the Furious. But here's the thing about Talk that makes it really hard to do in a review in my style, is that the director hates the Fast and the Furious movies and those kind of films. So when he was assigned to direct it, he basically directed it as a stealth piss take. It's not even a stealth piss take. If you watch the movie, it is blatantly a piss take. In fact, they actually have Martin Henderson's character walks out of a scene in a cave, if I remember correctly, and he actually says Dominic Toretto's line of, "I live my life at a quarter mile at a time." To which his girlfriend says, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." Like, he intentionally messed around with the physics where they're actually dueling with motorbikes, actually fighting with motorbikes in that movie. Just really amped up. And And of course, it's got all this whacked out shit in it. But when you write a script, trying to acknowledge the fact that it's self-aware, it just ends up kind of backpedaling all the way around, like, this is a thing, then that's what's that in reference to, and oh wait, that's not really funny anymore because I'm just explaining a joke by the director. So I think that's the only one I actually full out scrapped. There's a couple of movies that I've had for a while that just didn't get round to, and Die Hard 5 was one of those. That one had been kicking around for ages, and I kept needing to do that one. Finally got round to it. I was intending this year to be a year where I really get back into sort of doing that sort of stuff, and then Blip happened.
Oh.
Well, thanks for yanking my enthusiasm out, through the chest and my rib cage and everything. But yeah, that's I have got things planned if I can get to do them. Hey, I'm a Dailymotion verified partner these days. That means something, right? Yeah. Technically, it is easier to post stuff on there on YouTube, which has the fucking bullshit content ID system, which is the bane of all reviewers' existence.
I think that's why, sorry for interrupting, I think that's why I consider myself lucky that for most of my own personal analysis videos and reviews, I've not had much skill in video editing, so I mostly post screenshots. I think I'm lucky in the sense that I get around that mostly.
You know what, if someone asks me a question, I will expand upon that further, but I think I'm straying, so I'm going to pass it on to someone else.
I had 2 reviews which I started working on and have scrapped. One was I was going to do a... Ooh.
I fixed it.
A traditional film-style review of the first few episodes of Lex, the Canadian TV show from the 90s. And I got partway through scripting it, and then my computer literally died. Computer died, lost the script, never went back to it. I was like a quarter of the way through an episode. Then the other one was Police Academy 7. Because I got into scripting that episode, I was about just under halfway through when I realised that not even I can make this funny, this is just too much work. Fuck it.
Which one is that? Is that the Russian one?
Yeah, the one you watched with me for notes.
No.
I might go back to it at some point, but I doubt it.
I don't think I've ever scrapped things like I'm never ever going back to them, but I have a lot of projects that I kind of shelved and I might go back to them at some point, maybe in the future, because the thing is that you have so many ideas and you cannot make all of them.
I know that feeling so well.
Yeah. I don't even remember what it's... I have a friend who made cosplays and I make cosplays sometimes, and sometimes I just look at his cosplay and I think, I'm going to use that in a review, and then I'm just basing the review around the cosplay. Like he had made Robocop, so I made the Robocop review, and he makes a really good Arnold Schwarzenegger imitation, so I actually wanted to put him in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and I actually even bought a shirt for him that says I'll be back and so on, so I actually had him all prepped. And I have been meaning to do an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie with him having a cameo in it for 2 or 3 years now, and we just haven't gotten around to it. But the t-shirt, I just haven't. We even watched a couple of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies to pick them out and so on, but we had fun doing that. And then of course I also was supposed to make a top 10 best Superman the animated series, and that's also like 2 years ago. And I had a project called Baker Street Adventures. I made some together with Jill Barrow, where I played Sherlock and she played Watson, and we kind of had that dynamic, and we were supposed to go through a lot of Sherlock Holmes movies, and we've gone through 4 now. And then it's kind of chill because I also changed genre, that I used to usually review movies, and then all these Sarkeesian thing happened where she says video games are sexist, and I'm just like, no, I don't think video games are sexist. I like video games, so I kind of, put a spin on that. I started to review video games just to show that I'm a woman and I don't think video games are sexist, and I think it's this wonderful thing. And that means all my video projects got shelved about... But now I'm kind of going back because I'm figured out that making video reviews about video games takes forever. because you have to play through that entire game. And of course it's also the project that forced me to play through all the Five Nights at Freddy games. It's jump scare the game. It was horrible, but it was on demand, it was on Patreon, I had to play through them. Thanks.
Was it worth the pain?
What?
Was it worth the pain?
I think it's one of the funniest videos I actually done, the first one, because I could joke about it and so on, and I have played through the fourth one, but I'm actually looking forward to making the video because the fourth Five Nights at Freddy video game is based around sounds. That you have to sit there on the screen and listen to the sound and react on the sounds, and I think you can actually do something funny with that in a video and put that up in acting with footsteps sounding and so on. Because that's how it is in the game, that you hear breathing and you need to really listen for the breathing, and you need to listen for the footsteps and go to the place where the thing is and so on. So you have to really concentrate, and that makes you jump scares even worse because you're just sitting there and having to concentrate. And then comes the jump scare right up in your face and screams. It's a horrible game. And of course the first thing I did when I went to make my video games reviews was that I went on the internet and asked people, do you know great indie games? Because I want to review some indie games and really show how broad your genre is and how much you can do with video games, and it's so much more than what Sakishian makes it out to be. And then I got a list, and it just goes on like that. And I promised I would actually check every single one of the indie games out, so I could see what they are about and so on, and at least read about them and see which one I find interesting. And I went through half the list, and I also asked for strong female characters, and I would make videos about strong female characters just to show they really are there. And again, I just have a list that goes. There are lots of strong female characters in games, and again I made videos now where I talked about 15 different strong female characters where I had to discover who half of them were, and I don't know if I'm making any more because I think I was talking about 15 different strong female characters now. I think I made my point.
I scrapped so much. And if I was like, oh, I'm going to do these first 3 seasons, and sure, it's going to be grand, and I'm going to have this really great sci-fi plot that hinges on me learning how to use After Effects, because of course I'm going to sit down and do that, you know, in a few weeks, and that never happened. But I was going to do a trilogy of romantic comedies that I actually approve of, because as a homosexual, I really dislike romantic comedies because they all boil down to, even though I have only stood in line with you at the bank for 5 minutes, already I have such strong feelings. Okay, me too. Okay, let's kiss, and then misunderstand each other, but get back together in the end. Okay. Oh, you sounded like you were going to say something.
No, I wasn't.
Okay. So I was going to do the 3 romantic comedies that I actually really do like, which are Practical Magic, The Englishman That Went Up a Hill But Came Down a Mountain, which also taught me anything that I actually know about Wales, as inaccurate or accurate as it is, and The First Wives Club. But I was lazy. I started writing each script, and I was like, oh, it's not funny, and nobody cares, and I can just say this in a sentence, and then there was something good on Netflix, and you know. So yeah. It does take me an incredibly long time to do anything, because I work now I live in Northern Ireland with my wife, and so I work in a shop and I go to school, so one of these days I'm going to get in trouble for not putting enough videos, but I do put them out eventually, so. Any other questions?
What are your thoughts on the YouTube content ID system?
It sucks! I'm going to go first because I think I have a really short thing to say. My stuff has been pretty lucky because I produce the podcast Lesbian Talk, and the only music that we use in it, well now anyway, is a theme song that a fan wrote for us. They're gonna get it eventually. They're gonna content ID it eventually and say someone else owns this, even though the guy who wrote, composed, performed, and sent it to us is not in a band. He's not signed by anyone. These notes exist solely on our videos. They're gonna be like, yeah, well, someone else owns it. There's early stuff that I'm just not bothering to put up because I did freely use stuff that belonged to other people, and I'm just not going to put them up because why bother, really? but I think it's bullshit because I had one trailer that I used a cut from number stations, which if you don't know what they are, Google them, especially at night when you're kind of drunk because it's, you just won't ever sleep. But number stations are spy radio stations that existed pretty much throughout the Cold War, and some still do now, that just broadcast noise or just really creepy sounding audio stuff. And a nonprofit called the Kane Project put them together and put them as downloadable content on the internet, public domain. So we pulled these off the airwaves, used them. And so I used them in one of my things. And it got because a band also decided to sample that. And then they said that I was ripping off that song. So I said, fuck it, doesn't matter, it's gone. And that's all I have to say.
Well. Welly. The YouTube content ID system. Oh, how many ways is it fucked up? I'm beginning to sound like Andrew Joe here. So the YouTube content ID system is an absolute pain in the arse if you're a film reviewer, because generally if you're doing film reviews in a video format, typically what's a good idea to do is to be able to actually, show footage of the film in question to actually link to your points. Because all my stuff, they are reviews, they're comedy reviews, they are protected by fair use because they are commentary, I am analysing them, I am deconstructing them, they are new bodies of work. But of course, because they use footage from the actual movies in question, then it gets trickier. So I started trying to post on YouTube earlier this year, and that worked out so badly I actually vowed at the time to never use it again. Of course that didn't work out, so now I have to try and post stuff on there, which is nigh on impossible. For some reason the earlier episodes of Bad Movie Beatdown, sort of the 2009 episodes, seem to have largely gone up without too many problems, but I think they've changed their system yet a bloody again. So, I've uploaded loads of videos after that. You just haven't seen any of them because they're all on private with gibberish names. Because I do that to try and get past the content ID system, because one of the ways that the content ID system works, as I should quickly explain how the content ID system works, the copyright owners will upload a copy of the movie to a private space, like YouTube, basically, but you won't see it as a user. It's a private database that the content ID system can match your content against.
Had you heard about the time that Blizzard got shut down? Their YouTube channel got shut down when they uploaded their own stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the problem, you see, because when they upload whole movies like that, there are problems like film companies, to promote their movies, release publicity clips, which are small extracts from the movie of small scenes to entice the viewer to go and see them. And there are channels like Movie Clips Coming Soon and so forth that post those. Those are exactly the sort of content materials that I use in my projector videos. But for some reason, I can't put my projector videos on YouTube because I use the clips that they themselves release to promote the movies that are already on YouTube. Really, guys? And believe it or not, I have appealed in some cases, and they still say no. Yes, hello Universal. For some reason, a positive review of Ex Machina can't get rid of that. Fox will allow me to review Kingsman in the same episode. Fox will allow me to review Fantastic Four, a movie that they were shooting from everyone. And despite the fact that it had a Doctor Doom clip that was posted that they quickly tried to yank off the internet. But no, Universal will not allow me to review Ex Machina.
I don't know if it will work for movies, but I know from being part of the My Little Pony analyst community on YouTube that they had a lot of similar issues with Hasbro taking down the clips they used.
Yeah.
But what they actually did is they mirrored the footage.
Well,
they mirrored
here's the
and
thing.
actually flipped it.
Here's the thing, I've tried doing that. Sometimes it just doesn't work.
Oh, yeah.
Like I tried to upload the projection review for Home. Do you remember that from earlier this year? Basically, I got my animator guy right there at the back. Give him a hand. Yes, he made a whole cinema for my opening title sequence on those new videos. And basically I asked him, can I have a picture of the screen so that I could use it as a backdrop to put the clips on? So the clips were about maybe a third of the screen. I uploaded that copy. DreamWorks Animation still flagged it. So the whole flipping the footage, shrinking the footage, works sometimes, not always. Hell, if you have the audacity to use the title on YouTube, can be a problem, as my friend Brad Jones has discovered when he tries to post his midnight screening videos, which have no footage whatsoever, but because he used the title of The Man from U.N.C.L.E., that was pulled down temporarily by Warner Brothers, because basically what they do when those movies come out is that they blanket copyright claim all the videos that had the name in. And I've had videos that have got past the content ID system, which have then been manually flagged because they'll just randomly search a movie like Dumb and Dumber, because apparently a 30-second clip several years ago is a massive threat to their intellectual property. So that's what we have to work with at the minute. I mean, I'm trying to get on other hosting sites. I've been posting on Dailymotion, which has much less of that kind of thing. It's still there. There are some videos that are just flat out rejected, but I think that might be because I'm not a partner. I wasn't a partner at the time. I've since been promoted to verified partner status. That might change, or it might not, but at least on Dailymotion, an actual takedown notice has to be filed for it to be taken down in the first place. It's just there's no appeal system, which is a real problem. But at least I can still post more stuff than on YouTube, which is why if you go to my Dailymotion page, I actually have considerably more videos there than on YouTube. Incidentally, this will probably end up on YouTube. That will explain that. Okay.
Like and subscribe.
Rant over.
Shameless self-promotion.
I've had similar issues. I spent most of the last month re-uploading videos, or downloading from Blood, re-uploading to YouTube. In the case of some Doctor Who stuff, re-editing it so I can put it up on YouTube, stuff like that. Whenever a film is just automatically grabbed by a copyright bot, then you can challenge it. And if it's the claim, if the claim comes from whoever the film that I'm reviewing, always challenge it because it's fair use. And sometimes it's weird, there's some really malicious film companies because the appeal is not done by YouTube. You don't appeal to YouTube, you appeal to the people who own the footage. And if they don't like your review, or they just decide you're dicks that day, they just decide to claim it anyway. And if they've claimed it, I usually just go along with it. I'm not, I don't make money from the videos. Like, you're dicks, fair enough. I might do an additional challenge later on with that when shit gets serious. But sometimes they just flat out block it completely if it's a movie you've reviewed and so no one can watch it. 3 of my reviews are up on YouTube but blocked forever. Well, unless I do another stage of challenging. And those 3 are, you'll see a three line in this, You've got The Passion of the Christ, Vegas in Space, which is a sci-fi drag queen comedy.
Which, to note, pretty much everyone who was involved with it died of AIDS a few years later. So there's no one left to challenge.
Very few people.
That's very unfortunate, but still.
And the third one is From Beyond, this horror movie. So it's insane. It's a completely broken system.
I'd actually try having a video blocked because I used trailer clips from the new Fantastic Four movie. I used just the trailer that they have put out for free use and they blocked the video. Of course, one of the fortunate things about me having switched to making video game reviews instead of movie reviews the last year, I've done it for almost a year now, is that they won't block those. Video games footage and video game sounds are okay, A-okay, didn't do anything about those, but I have had big troubles with re-uploading of old reviews. I had made a Miyazaki Mars video series, which I was very proud of, where I had went through every single one of Miyazaki's movies because I'm a huge fan of his, and also made additional videos about the history of Miyazaki, and a video dedicated to Joe Hisaishi, which is the composer who made the music to all Miyazaki's movies, and the legacy of Hayao Miyazaki, because he had lent inspiration to so much stuff afterwards that people who made The Little Mermaid freely admitted that the reason why they dared to have a female lead is because they were inspired by Miyazaki, and because they had a female lead, Disney just went on and had so many more female leads, and the people who made Avatar: The Last Airbender were deeply inspired by Miyazaki, so he has, just inspired so much stuff. And that video also got blocked, so when I tried to upload that entire series, half of the videos got blocked. Which really sucks, because they only work really when you watch them in the right order and so on. It's a really sucky system, and they just seems to be blocking at random. That I re-upload and then I cross my fingers and then hope they won't get blocked. That the money revenue will probably be taken away by all of them, but I can always cross my fingers and hope they won't get blocked so people can actually watch.
As Angry Joe can probably attest to, it's sometimes even worse for video games, because I can't remember the name of the game exactly, but I think at one point Sega was promoting a game with the word shining in the title, so they literally went around flagging any video with the word shining in it, so they could remove it and direct searches to the new Shining game. Didn't matter if it was about this game or not, as if it had the word shining in the title, it was blocked.
Oh, they haven't touched any of my video game reviews.
Yet.
No,
I just remember something, that there is one of my episodes of What Went Right that is non-monetized by me. It was the episode called Fraggle Rock Magic of the Macrocosm, and it told me this contains stuff that's owned by the Jim Henson Company. You cannot monetize it, but they may monetize it for you. And I said, fair enough. So if you have ad block on and you watch that episode, turn it off, because if they have monetized it, they should get all of the monies. You should actually go and write to them and donate more money to the Jim Henson Company. I have not been paid by the Jim Henson Company.
I have a funny thing. Okay. Knowing how YouTube works and how it works with what it considers to be pornography and the subject matter of some of my movies, sometimes I don't put monetization on at all. Because, someone will find it and go, yeah, that's pornography, no more monetizing for you. So I'm like, okay, fair enough. I think it's a stupid rule, but okay. So I uploaded a movie, switched off monetization. Then I was told that, you can't monetize this is pornography. I was like, yes, I already didn't monetize it. And then a couple of weeks later I received another message saying, someone else owns this footage. They can monetize it. And they did.
Tell me about the Irish porn. Yeah, what your dad said about the Irish porn. Not that we discuss Irish porn with her father. Apparently somebody someone in Donegal uploaded this full-length porn under cultural because it was entirely in Irish. And they got away with it.
Yeah, so, and the thing that they monetized, it wasn't like it was footage from something else or like music or whatever. No, it was the film I'd reviewed, but it's like, I decided I wasn't getting monetizing for this anyway. I got the moral high ground. Fuck you.
There is a story you might have heard recently. When Pixels came out, Sony hired a company, an anti-piracy company, and they obviously didn't. This anti-piracy company obviously doesn't work for shit, because all they did was try to take down any video that had the word Pixels in it, regardless of whether it was related to the Adam Sandler film or whether it was several years old. Naturally, all the claims were then dropped. But that's exactly what we have to work with. One day it'll be working, next day, maybe not. Like Warner Brothers tried to claim my Final Destination 3 review. And I counted it, and then they didn't respond to it. And the way that YouTube's system works is if they don't reply within 30 days, it just gets dropped. So that was completely pointless, but for a month I didn't get any revenue from that video being on YouTube. It was just sitting there. Because it was public, but I couldn't do anything because people would notice that I'd taken it down again. And the same thing happened with Monkey Bone. Monkey Bone was flagged immediately by Fox. I filed an appeal, 30 days later, didn't reply, it's up. So I don't understand how that works. I guess we don't care about Monkey Bone anymore. Understandable, really.
And it works for the big people, but not for the little people. Like, Brad is having to challenge, to try to prove to YouTube, yes, he owns the footage of him and a friend in his car talking about a movie, and yet people have uploaded his movies to YouTube and will be taken out. We're watching NerdQuest because Miriam M. Walker, whoever she is, has uploaded it to her YouTube channel. Does Mike know about this?
I'm assuming he does, but if he doesn't, he does now.
I mean, like, check that out. Like, if he said, hey, that's my intellectual property, I have to be in the forest and it's cold in England. Like, they'll be like, well, we're YouTube, so I don't know what to tell you. Okay.
On the subject of what you're talking about, there's an anime reviewer called Mr. Connexia who had a video that someone complained about, saying that it was infringing, copyright and so on and so forth of the subject that the anime is talking about. And so, of course, YouTube removed it and also actually shut down his channel. Literally, his whole channel got shut down. So he set up a video on another channel he made, telling everybody apologies, and he complained to YouTube and said he thought it was unfair. And then YouTube eventually came back to him saying, oh, sorry, our bad, it was our mistake, and he got his channel back eventually after some time. So
How
all that
old
fit
was he
stuff
after
was for
that
absolutely
time?
nothing.
Was there like a lap shot of him becoming a skeleton with a beard first?
No, it was an anime review he did of something where apparently he didn't get the copyright for it or something, I don't know. Didn't know the details.
There's also a YouTuber I follow called Sagan of Akkad who makes political videos.
Fantastic.
And
I know him.
He actually promoted me once. He knows who I am. But yeah, he used clips from Fox News from a news station, and that got him banned as well and put down because he used news clips, and that's stuff that should be available for everybody to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're Fox News though, so like they're evil. Like, I think that
Of
would
course
make
they're
it
going to
actually
complain.
Yeah, he's also using that to kind of tear them down. So.
Okay, well, fair enough.
So, any other questions? Go, Elsa.
I want to ask about how you feel about I've noticed it's become a big problem in communities over years. How do you feel about viewer entitlement? Because there's some people who are like, oh, you best do this type of review and this type of movie, or else I'm not going to watch you anymore. And it's kind of rude. I don't know why these people demand it, but I want to know how you guys feel about people demanding you do this certain thing, demand how you must always review Doctor Who because that's the only thing I like, kind of thing.
Fuck those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never really been the victim of your entitlement because most of my people, they come to my videos and they see what they're going to get, and it's sort of like that. Like the Doctor Who ones, except for the quick guide, which I did fairly regularly over the course of a year, the 20 Who reviews that I do them maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 times a year, and then the film reviews I try to get up every 2 weeks, and everyone who watches my show regularly realises that the films I review can literally be everything from evangelical Christian dramas to gay animated porn. It's just basically what I feel like reviewing, which is in one way, it keeps my audience a bit smaller because people don't know what to expect, but on the other hand, it means my audience are very open-minded, shall I say.
I had a couple of issues with this. It's sort of a thing that pops up now and then because obviously I have 2 series. There's one series, there's the sort of comic, longer, more in-depth reviews of the Bad Movie Downside, and then you have the more recent sort of current releases, more sort of concise reviews of something like Projector. And in recent years I've been focusing more on the Projector side. Not really intentionally, but it's more because of time constraints more than anything, because it takes a long time to produce an episode like that, and there's a lot more movies being released now in the UK territorially than there are in the US. Sometimes it fluctuates like that, sometimes there'll be months where nothing comes out. But the reason that I started Projector in the first place was because I was at university at the time and I couldn't shoot new videos. And so that was an idea to try and make new videos between content, and that was something I sort of noticed at the time, that there was a lot more movies sort of coming out here before they did in the US. So, and I think that's more of a paradigm shift, because the there's a lot of focus now in Hollywood on trying to get international viewers, as you probably know, because Hollywood is trying to aim for demographics like China and places like that, which actually bring far more revenue than domestically, which has been kind of on the decrease. So internationally, there have been films that have been great successes, like the recent Terminator movie has just had a massive opening in China, which looks like it's going to tip it into having a sequel. This is despite the fact that in America it absolutely tanked. But that's basically the thing. So now it's kind of got to the point where I'm struggling to try and keep up with all the things that I'm reviewing, because next week I have to catch up on I have to review a couple of films that I haven't got round to because they're vlogs, and I'm not a big fan of recording myself on camera without a script. And then I have to go and see the new M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Visit, the new Maze Runner movie, watch the first Maze Runner movie while I'm at it, because I didn't see that the first time.
Okay, it was good except for the last 5 minutes.
And I have to watch Legend, the new Craze movie. Those are all out next week, and I have to review those. And I have to catch up on Absolutely Anything and the Bad Education movie. So
It's a full-time job.
yeah, basically, this time of year gets a lot busier for that kind of thing. So it's kind of hard to try and squeeze in the Bad Movie Beatdown videos like that. And a lot of people understand that who follow me on various social media, but there are people who every so often go, well, when's the new Bad Movie Beatdown coming out? And I'm sort of like, I'm sorry, I can't do everything at once. I really can't. I'm literally one guy doing this thing now. I used to have 3 people working for me. Not anymore, it's just me. So it's really hard to sort of devote all that time, because those projection reviews are scripted. A lot of people think they're vlogs, they're all scripted, a lot of them. And they're all in the region of about 2,000 words per movie. So basically I have to write an essay per movie. Bit difficult. But most people understand, I think. I mean, there have been issues occasionally with people going, you should review this now! And I'm sort of like, no? I do what I like? So I've had things where people will ask me to review something that's only just come out, or something that Doug's only just reviewed. And I'm sort of thinking to myself, no, it doesn't really work, doesn't really fit my style. Like, what was the most recent one? I think it would have been Fantastic Four had I not been one of the first people to review that. But
You became famous for that.
yeah, that's another story. I think there was at least
I watched it because of you.
and I'm so sorry.
She drank before watching it.
I did. We were at Weatherspoons, and because I just got off work, and it was a special, so I had a few drinks. And I was kind of buzzed when we got to the theater. I'm like, oh, this will be great. It's just going to be great now. I'm kind of toasty. I've got some popcorn. And I was still like,
I think probably the most recent one is there's a lot of people that really want me to review anything Adam Sandler puts out. I reviewed 5 of those movies. That took a lot out of me, because they are plummeting off a cliff in terms of quality. And the sad thing is, I was sort of looking forward to Pixels a little bit at the time, because it looked like it had some promise, unlike some other Sandler movies. I didn't actually go and see Pixels in the end, because I'd seen so many reviews of it that I sort of thought to myself, there is literally nothing I can add to this anymore. It is just... And it's sort of hyperbolic, because as I understand it, Pixels is not as bad as something like, say, Fantastic Four, which is an absolute train wreck in a sort of fascinating way from beginning to end, from conception all the way to what appeared on screen. Whereas something like Pixels, it's sort of, well, Adam Sandler doesn't give a flying fuck anymore, so... And weirdly, people are more interested in Pixels than the movie that Adam Sandler did right before that, called The Cobbler, where it turns out he had a magic shoe repair machine, so that when he repairs shoes with it, he puts them on, and he turns into the owner of the shoes. And he basically turns it into a shoe-based superhero. This slipped by everyone, and no one fucking noticed.
So if he
That movie was clearly a shoo-in for success.
Well, here's the thing, if he put on Air Jordans that belong to Michael Jordan, yes, he turns into Michael Jordan. There is a scene where he puts on a pair of shoes that belongs to an Asian man because he really wants to walk in Chinatown as an Asian person.
Wow.
There is a scene. Dan Stevens from Downton Abbey is in this movie. He puts on Dan Stevens' shoes, and he, as Dan Stevens, walks in when his girlfriend is in the shower, and he almost considers having sex with her in the shower, but he can't figure out how to take off his shoes, so he decides against it. Although maybe he should have decided against it, because technically that's fucking rape.
Imagine the people you could become if you were a grave robber.
He becomes a dead person. The owner of the shoes. Yes, the owner of the shoes is technically dead, so there's several points where he turns into a zombie.
Actual zombie.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, I won't meander long. I'm going to pass it on.
Oh, when this is finished, we should totally put on Cinema Snob movie, if that's what it was popular to Brad.
We're not going to do that, because he's actually fighting with that. We don't know. About viewer entitlement, I've never had that problem, because people will be like, hey, will you review this? And I'll be like, oh, that looks good, or, oh, actually, somebody on Twitter, his name was Zarian Krina, was like, are you going to do a What Went Right episode about Between the Lions? I really loved it. It helped me learn how to read. And I said, well, technically, this is about 2 decades outside of my thing, but that does remind me of Picture Pages, which is the apocryphal episode of What Went Right, because it happened before Bill Cosby came out that he's a horrific rapist. So it never went on Channel Awesome, and it's not going to go on YouTube. But a lot of people have dealt with, I hate to call it viewer entitlement because that sounds really snotty, but viewer entitlement by setting up their Patreon and saying, is there something you really want me to do? Here's the threshold for it. Like, I dearly wish that I had the spare money around to get one of Todd in the Shadow's one-hit wonders requests. Because I was like, oh, what's my favorite 90s one-hit wonder? Because basically his show is Todd in the Shadows going through my iTunes and explaining the 90s. And even if I know, it's just so fast. Oh, what they did? Ooh, yeah. But, so that's what I have to say about that.
What about Patreon?
Go ahead. Well, we can say something if she's message.
Okay.
I haven't said anything.
Yes.
You want to say something?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Someone asked me about Patreon later on.
I haven't had people demanding things from me like that, but I have had people where it feel like they try to guilt trip me into backpedaling, where they came, oh, I liked your stuff better 3 years ago. I really missed the bowler hat you used to wear. That was so much better.
Gee, thanks. So noted.
Well, it's kind of flattering because then you know it's the same person that has been following you for 3 years, so that's kind of good. But I kind of think that, but I also think it's because my videos has been through so many phases that I've changed all the time. That if you watch at my video history, what I did in the beginning and what I do now is very different, and there's a lot of different things in the middle. So I kind of do what I want to do. I had something else at one point because, again, Anita Sarkeesian, I made some videos kind of making a bit fun of her. Actually, the one that Sagan of the ALcon promoted on Twitter was they made Sarkeesian's game, where I talked about Dishonored 2. That Sarkeesian's game idea is about a woman who gets in prison but then breaks herself out, take clothes on, and then take back the empire. And Dishonored 2, from what I can see about the trailer, is about a woman who gets captured in a prison, breaks out, puts on pants, because they only allow pants in Dishonored, and take back her empire by herself. So it's the same plot. They made Sarkeesian's game. What was I going? Yeah, so I had made fun by Sarkeesian, and then suddenly people came to me, people who followed me, and said, you can't do that. You are not allowed to do that. You can't make fun of feminism or Anita Sarkeesian or anything like that.
Yeah, it's already.
My response to that is just, I'm a stand-up comedian. That's a challenge. That's a freaking challenge. Now I have to do it because, of course, I'm not getting very popular. Because after I started going against feminism and making videos going directly against feminism, it's the first time I really got hateful responses, and I actually got people who followed me who turned against me. Suddenly it was like, how can she do that? I just came here to watch video reviews and so on, and then suddenly she becomes political and she talks against women and don't think the pay gap is what people say. It's oh, fuck. No.
They make that exact noise. Is that like an American culture?
No. How dare she? How dare she? I actually had people telling me that I can't do it and I shouldn't do it and so on. And again, that's a challenge. That's just a challenge. And now I have to do it.
Yeah.
And I actually ordered a mug. I haven't used it yet, but that's kind of making fun of it. I don't know if you see it on Twitter, where a lot of feminists sat around with mugs that says male tears on it. So I actually got myself a mug that says feminist tears.
Okay, hold on. Does anyone else bothered by the whole drinking other people's tears kind of thing? Because that's kind of vomitous, and I've been waiting for like a time when people are paying attention to me to say it. Is it just me? Does that not sound like really disgusting? Thank you.
There's probably a fetish for that.
Oh no!
Male tears is meant to be something
but yeah, when
else
it came
from
to
a man, so
yeah. I'm probably the only one doing political stuff, but when I do political stuff and so on, that's when people suddenly say, I cannot have this opinion and I cannot do this and I shouldn't talk about this and so on. And that's where I have actually encountered that people want to control what I do, and I'm just like, no, fuck you.
I was going to say, on the topic that you were just talking about previously, not you, but considering what the film brain described the cobbler, has Adam Sandler ever given a shit about any film he's done?
You ever seen Airheads? That's awesome.
yeah,
Well,
that's a
yeah,
pretty good one.
Here's the thing about Adam Sandler. That film, The Cobbler, premiered at film festivals because, believe it or not, that was actually made by a fairly respectable filmmaker up until that point. The guy that directed it was the guy that directed The Station Agent and Win-Win. So, basically, at the Toronto International Film Festival last year, Sandler was in 2 films. Where they were basically trying to rehabilitate his image by trying to associate him with Oscar talents like, say, Jason Reitman. He was also in a fairly smallish role in the ensemble piece Men, Women and Children. It then turned out that those were 2 of the worst films released at that particular time. So
Sandler's so bad, he can kill other people's careers.
apparently so.
X-Men power.
Oh,
But
if I were animated, Eight Nights at Christmas, it's beautiful animation in that and the Sandler movie, and his career also got stabbed by that movie. He lost his career. And the animation is gorgeous. It's just crap script and crap voice acting done by Adam Sandler.
As I understand it, Doug reviewed that movie and the director actually said, "Thank you."
I think that directors only work in television after that movie.
Yeah, you see that with a lot of directors actually. If they make something really bad, they just end up being consigned to television, and in some cases that's a really kind of sad thing to happen because a lot of the time they'll usually be promising directors and then they'll do a big budget blockbuster that tanks, usually because it's for a reason outside their control.
A blockbuster that tranks.
Yes. Well, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure that Josh Trank is ever going to work again, considering some of the shit he pulled.
I think the next step is rehab. That's what always happens next. He's going to check himself into rehab, and then everything will be forgotten.
They'll do the Asylum doing like Chronicle 2 or something.
Then again, we could have
Adam Baldwin.
said that about David O. Russell about a decade ago, so let's be fair. But back to Adam Sandler, if you watch some of his earlier films, you can tell that he's clearly trying in them. You can tell that he's clearly invested in the character. But there's been sort of a shift in him. It used to be that when he was in his 20s and 30s, he used to play this really angry prince-up guy who would just beat the shit out of people after a certain point. Stuff like The Waterboy or Happy Gilmore, something like that. I watched The Waterboy recently. It's not actually that bad of a movie. It's basically, how about that scene from Forrest Gump where he runs on the football field and extend that to feature length, basically. And funnily enough, the problem with something like The Waterboy is that he'll try too hard in that and put on a funny voice that sounds really weird and a bit annoying. But later, he sort of mellowed, but he's now got to the point where he's mellowed out entirely to the point where he doesn't actually appear to give a shit anymore. Like, he's become so mellow that the films are practically... Like, he looks like he's sauntering through the movies, just completely disinterested in what's happening around him. And it's really strange. And even the movies are sort of feeling like that, where the movies are really indifferently made, because they're all made... A lot of them are made by the same director. He has like a real pool of directors that he seems to go back to time and time again, and they always feel really indifferently constructed. The gags always last too long, the pacing's always slack, but his movies are still successful, or at least they were until recently, so no one cares.
Did you see the Red Letter Media Jack and Jill review?
Yeah.
Where they came up with this interesting theory about that.
Oh yeah, the abusive use of product placement as well. That's the other thing, is that as Sandler got more mellow, his cynicism about his projects kind of just came to the surface by that point. Because it's roughly around that time that he made Funny People, where he basically played a character that seemed loosely based on himself, starring in shit high concept movies, like where he turns into a baby and things like that. So basically, you got that, and then all the product placement comes in, like shit tons of product placement. But Red Letter Media did that video, and I think that seems to have really turned the tide on how people think about Adam Sandler for some reason. I think a lot of people had thought that about Adam Sandler by something like Grown Ups. Funnily enough, when I was doing my sort of month of Adam Sandler movies, I didn't think Jack and Jill was the worst one, because Jack and Jill's only 90 minutes long. Watching Just Go With It, yeah, that was 2 hours long, and I hated every second of it. That movie is punishing. But yeah, I haven't seen the Cobbler or Pixels or anything like that, but I'm sure they're fantastic.
So more correctly, a long time ago on a galaxy far, far away, Adam Sandler gave a shit.
Yeah. About a decade ago, about roughly around the time where Bruce Willis gave a shit. That's a whole different story.
Oh, I don't know anything about Adam Sandler.
Someone asked another question.
Anyone?
Yeah, going back to the with copyrighted things and stuff that you have problems with YouTube. Do you have any tips for someone who might want to get into film reviewing, like how they should deal with that, or tips in general?
Use very short clips.
Yeah,
basically,
video games.
The bots, although they're getting better with time, basically, as I understand it, they look for sections which are between 15 seconds and more. So if you use shorter clips than that and you space them out, then you're okay. But then afterwards, find a decently worded, long, official-sounding thing explaining exactly what you're doing if you need to make a challenge. I borrowed his, and it works most of the time. Thank you for that. Because what you're doing is not, there's no problem with it. It's just, it's a position where the company is allowed to be abusive to the little person. And YouTube are fine with that. Probably because if they were the final arbiter, then they could be sued. So, do you have any advice on that?
Pretty much the same thing. You notice a lot of the film reviewers on YouTube, the ones that are really popular, like Chris Stuckman and things like that, are all people that are literally talking to camera in front of a wall, maybe using the odd still shot of the movie, but that's about it. That appears to be the way to go if you're going on YouTube, is that you have to do it as a vlog. That is pretty much the only way you're going to be able to do it on YouTube, I think. I've got video. Here's the thing, I've got videos past the content ID, but sometimes they won't let you monetize it anyway.
Yeah. Which
is a real pain, because you can get past the content ID and then it comes up with a grey exclamation mark. If you were networks with some network like, say, Maker or something like that, those disappear, those suddenly turn green. So basically, if you're not networked, you're screwed, essentially. And of course, if you aren't networked, you can't get on the network without producing content. And if you're producing content that can't be seen by anyone, you can't get on a network. It sort of becomes this perverse cycle.
One thing I've noticed, that it depends on what type of films you look at as well. Films from bigger companies, those companies will invest more in the bots that do this. If you deal with stuff, incredibly obscure stuff, or public domain stuff, or stuff from really small time sort of people, then generally they either don't have the money to, or they don't care, or they want the publicity. You know, I've had at least one director send me their entire back catalogue and say, please review my stuff. So, it depends what you do.
I suggest prayer.
Yeah.
Find actually really one of those really great D&D gods that like throws around lightning and curses and shit and just go for it. I mean, what can you lose, really?
I mean, so a lot of the reviews you see of my stuff on Bad Movie Beatdown, even the clips in those, I've edited down in some fashion. Like I've taken frames out of them, I've layered dialogue occasionally and things like that. Just because I normally have a 30-second rule about showing too much footage, so now I only show roughly around 30 seconds as movie audio, and even then that's like really, pasted together from its original. Like it plays like it's the original, but maybe it's not necessarily so. But even still, if you're trying to get it on YouTube, I wouldn't really advise it. I'd suggest trying to look for other hosting avenues if you can, or build some sort of back catalogue first before you start doing what you really want to do. For those playing at home, Diamanda's review of Chirpy is playing up on screen.
It's been pixelated, so it's all, we're not showing pornography, everything's great.
Yeah, this is Chirpy, a wonderful 12-minute animation about the love affair between a stallion and a small yellow bird. Honey, put the all volume on for a second, see what hilarity that is being said. Oh,
Please.
There was some very alarming noises, I've got to say.
What?
The line read, ram it in my egg hole. Yeah. Strangely, I haven't gotten a copyright claim on this one, have you?
no.
What the tip I wanted to give is if you want to use some background music and have a piece just with some epic music in it, it actually worked using video game music. They have some really brilliant epic cinematic scores, and if you use video game music for that, they won't flag them, but if you use film music for big movies, they definitely will.
Not a big enough censor bar.
Because I did after I saw the review.
The line was good for the last one.
Okay, before I put this up online on Blip years ago, I was at a convention in Ireland with Spunny. And so I was hanging with Spunny, we were going to do a crossover on Sting Moment of Truth, but after we filmed the crossover, we ordered some takeaway. I just had to show him my Chirpy review. He'd never heard of the thing, so I wish I recorded his reaction, because it was pretty much entirely made up of...
She showed this to a whole bunch of folks at MagFest, and I think my favorite part of that was when Lewis says, "And that's where Pokemon come from."
Yeah, this movie, okay, on my YouTube I have 2 videos of bunches of people randomly seeing the full uncut film for themselves for the first time with the audio. And it, by itself, it's like a 2 girls 1 cup reaction, but 12 minutes long.
I actually provided the art for this for that like 2 months. I had a cheap tablet I got off Amazon before it broke. And I was like, this is my stick figure art. I did an Illustrator. It took me 16 hours. I love you, wife.
Yeah, I'll tell you how the funny story about Chirpy. Okay, this was one of the most geeky days we'd ever had. Her and I decided we went over to New Jersey. We were in, was it Maryland?
We were in Maryland, went to New
Yeah,
Jersey.
we went over to New Jersey. First thing we did was meet up with a couple of friends, and then we went to see The Avengers when it first came out. This was like 2011. So it was the first day it was out in America, we saw it there. Then we decided to go to the Quick Stop because it was like 20 minutes away by car, from Clerks.
Look everyone, I have a copycat. That's not me.
You know you've made it now.
Look, it's somebody else called Omega, but he's using my signal.
Wow.
It's Santino. You stole my Santino Morella.
Oh, this is my channel with IRL vids. Enjoy. BTW, I'm Tech Geek. I would have really, but why is it putting in my thingy? That's my old logo.
By the way, I'm the geek in capital letters.
Is that a parody of you?
No. I mean, let's find out. That's my little thingy. By the way, I don't own this symbol, which is why I kind of stopped using it. I found it on a Google image search. And then it kind of occurred to me, I probably shouldn't use this, I could really get sued. So that's why I had, actually, DeVillo, who's an artist from the Midlands, he drew me a nice new logo, but why are you using mine?
Maybe they Googled and found it.
But I'm not signed in as like, oh no. This is all about the piracy tonight, you guys. I mean,
okay.
Shit.
Like copyright.
But we went to, we went to the Quick Stop, and then we went to see lots of films. We saw Manborg, we met the Toxic Avenger and Lloyd Kaufman and stuff. It was fun because it was Troma Dance. Then the next morning we went to Saturday morning cartoons for adults. And they played Chirpy, which was fun, you know, enjoyable. And a friend of ours who we went out with called Cryptic Psych bought me a copy because at the big desk where they were selling a bunch of Troma films, they had copies for like $2. So I got it, I was ecstatic. And later on I met up with another guy that we knew who was not there when Chirpy was playing. So I did my best to convince him that Chirpy is a wonderful family animated film about a forbidden love that's really powerful, and he should buy a copy and show it to his entire family. This gets even weirder. My spiel on this is cut short, not entirely short, but I get pretty much through it before it gets cut short by a guy who was standing right next to us and listening to me. He was just edging over. It was the director. So then I spent the next half hour in the bar just talking to this guy, and it was fascinating.
It's one of those situations that you just step aside yourself for a moment and you think, how did I come to get in my life to this exact moment here? Because I was surrounded by a bunch of people I kind of knew from the internet. One person I just met like 5 minutes before, and there's a horse fucking a bird. And like, how many, like, that's not something that you say in your life all the time. And this is my life now. This is what's become, see, this is why you shouldn't pick up people you meet on the internet.
This is what happens when you date a fan.
I'm your biggest fan. Anybody else have some questions? We'll get to you. Because I saw, but he first, so, unless you guys want to fight. Because that'd be great.
Caveman?
With back.
You know, he's alive!
If I had my nerf crossbow.
Alright, well, you go on ahead and then
He brought a nerf to a hat fight.
Okay, we're going to do this.
It's not like he's sitting bringing out bigger and bigger guns. You can fucking beat me.
How far will this go?
Scratching cartoon with this.
What the?
Oh my god, it's Slendy!
I thought you were pulling out a condom, so. It looked like a condom. That's what I've been told a condom looks like.
That's what we need. Condom thieves.
By the way, this is my dad in the Phillies shirt. We did a special Father's Day Let's Try because we had some really gross drinks that we were supposed to go up to this thing and Jory was supposed to be there. We had a whole bunch of horrible drinks we got at the Asian grocery to give him. That ended up not happening. We had to get rid of them before they went off. So we did this with my dad, and he really wasn't understanding the idea of what a Let's Try was, because he tried like, this is shit. All right, where's the next one? And then at the end, we're like, so anyway, you should totally like and subscribe. And he's like, all right, turn the camera off, we're done. So yeah, so ask your question, Condom Boy.
Condom man, thank you.
Oh!
But quite a wide question. Crossovers.
Aye.
What are your feelings on them? Because now it seems to be like, really split in the fandom whether they're awesome or whether they've done too much.
Well, why not? I mean, if you're bored or if there's someone that you like to work with or like, oh look, you guys, look, does it look like frog eggs? Look at it. Or frog spawn, you guys, it was so nasty. It was so nasty.
That was horrible.
God, it's like this basil honey nasty sperm thing going on here on the oh Jesus. Well, I mean, I don't understand why you shouldn't. Like, if there's something that you really like, but you know, another reviewer is really into that thing, you're like, oh, we'll collaborate. Or if you know, like, someone were to come to me and be like, I'm young and no one loves me. Will you help me with this? And then maybe 7 more people will watch it. I'm like, yeah, if I got time, sure. I mean, I don't understand why there's so much ire, because why should you not? So.
Yeah, I'm all for crossovers really, because it allows you to collaborate. Because let me tell you, working as a video producer is a very, very isolating job, because you kind of have to do it a lot of the time. You have to concentrate on a lot of technical and editing elements, and so you don't get a lot of room for collaboration and things like that a lot of the time. So really, I enjoy the crossovers quite a lot, because it allows me to bounce off someone, it allows me to write something different that isn't necessarily myself, which allows me to see a different perspective on things. So I'm all for crossovers. I have a lot of fun doing the crossovers, and because it's much more fun for me personally to do it with another person than to do it by myself. I'm going to be brutally honest. So I'm all for it, and I don't understand why there is so much ire about crossovers. I mean, yeah, there's skits and stuff like that, but I quite like doing the skits. It allows people a stepping stone to view other people's work that they might not have necessarily looked at before, or they might have overlooked, or something like that. I mean, we've all benefited from crossovers in some way or fashion, because, you know, a lot of people know me purely because of the anniversary movies rather than any actual reviews I've done. So, I mean, that happens. I mean, if it means exposure, so be it. And it's a lot of fun usually. So I mean, if there's too many, I apologise, but too bad we like each other.
I also think it's just a really great way to network.
Yeah.
For us, we are a community, but you know, each one of us starts off very isolated, and it's kind of a way to get a gateway into the community and start to network, and we kind of get this relationship with each other, and you do that through actually making some crossovers that you think you work together, then you are a little bit closer, and then we actually can form the community. So for us, it's like also why we are here with each other is to network and to form this community and work up each other, and maybe we can benefit from each other. So it's all kind of community based, I also think.
Well, we just filmed the crossover just before we arrived here. So, yeah, I love doing the crossovers because, well, not so much doing camera to camera, there's always less chemistry there, because talking to a camera is crap compared to talking to a person. But when I come to a con, if there's another reviewer there, you know, that, like someone from Take or whatever, I do like to do crossovers. Like, when I went to MagFest, I would do at least 2 or 3 crossovers a go. Like at Con Bravo, I ended up filming one with Linkara, but it's not up yet. And we did our one today. It's really, really great. Plus, it means that whoever wrote it, whoever is editing it, whoever's video it's going to be, they have to do less work than usual, because the other person's doing half the voice work, which is nice.
Oh, I thought it was something. Oh, the reason that I'm here in this seat is because if I actually sat down in the chair, I'd disappear because I'm that short. So I realized that you kind of can't see my position from the camera, so when this goes up, it's going to look like I'm really tall. And then, we actually, when we first met, was to do a crossover. Because I had a friend in Dublin from high school, and he was always saying, hey, when are you going to come visit me? And I was making some good money, so I said, oh, you know, I mean, if you still consider that invitation open, he's like, yeah, come over to Ireland. And so I showed him, like, I'm going to be on your island. I mean, I'm just saying. And she was like, hey, well, let's meet in Dublin. Do you want to do a crossover? And I was like, okay, yeah. So I stayed up like half the night. I got up at 6 in the morning to get the Lewis train to get the bus up to Belfast, a city that I've only heard about in context of like occasionally exploding. And I'm like, holy crap, she is really that tall. And then literally like we ate a, how do you say it, Cornish pasty? I always say it the wrong way, I always say pasty. And everyone's like, And we're sitting in a room in the travel lodge, like doing lines. I'm like, oh my god, please, where's can you find? It'd be great.
Tell about the movie, because that's awesome by itself.
Okay, you should go see this. Then you should buy this online. The movie's called The Taint. It was put out by Trauma, and it stars a friend of mine from high school who, no shit, you guys, has not changed literally since the last time I saw her in high school. And it's about these scientists who are making like a Viagra kind of drug, but their boss goes mental and he puts it in a water supply, and so all the men turn into erecto zombies. And
28 days later, zombies with massive, constantly ejaculating erections who just want to
false
crush,
ones.
crush women's heads with rocks.
It features one of the best scenes of practical special effects outside of Peter Jackson, where a girl I went to high school with takes a rock and bashes someone's head in and then tenderly cradles his brain while she cries and then throws it in the bin. It's amazing. I love to see it. But he was next, then you. Because you. What? No, he was next because I said he was.
Yeah. Mostly for Hagan, because I'm curious, but for everyone as well. For the Hagan character, where did the idea come from for the insane despot? The country of Hagstan and all the rest of it?
It sort of evolved over time. Originally, my idea was because I deliberately set out to do stuff differently from everyone who I'd seen at that point. I'd never seen an evil reviewer. That was before. I don't know if Red Letter Media were working then, or if I just hadn't seen them. And like, so I said, I'll be evil. Everyone sort of wore like normal clothing and stuff. I'll wear crazy makeup and look interesting. Everyone used very roomish lighting, to look at realistic lighting, so I went for very stylish. Everyone I'd seen since till then sat down to do reviews. I would stand. Everything was done just to make myself different. And then the character of my character's character came from literally the voice, which is a sort of like, hello everyone, greetings gentle viewers. It's weird like that, and goes from screechy to growly very, very quickly. The voice was sort of inspired by Diamanda Hagan, and the sense of over-the-top sort of clothing and sort of use of makeup came from Nina Gallus. So,
Everyone like and subscribe.
So I took those things, I took the Nina Gallus and Diamanda Gallus and Nina Hagan and sort of mixed them together a bit, and the attitude of Grace Jones. And then having a fictional sort of supervillain nation, because originally she was just a supervillain. Then, as an ad-libbed line during a video I called Police Academy Marathon, which was a short film about my attempt to watch all the Police Academy movies in a row and I failed. But I threw in a line just about owning the country of Afghanistan. And it stuck.
And the legend grew. I'm helping.
But yeah, everything that was apart from the stuff that was there at the start, like the minions, the country, all of that came in as a result of a one-off joke that I liked or other people liked, and I just kept reusing. And do you want to hear about other people's characters?
Yeah, the broader one was other people's characters. And
again, my videos have changed so much over time that I kind of started out wanting to be kind of this happy, positive, because that's what I hadn't seen. I hadn't really seen anything being positive, and I cannot for the life of me be friendly. And that's me at a LARP game. That's real LARPing right there.
Hardcore LARPing.
Hardcore LARPing, not that stupid nerd quest thing where you pretend. Ooh. Yeah, that's Danish laughing. I'm thinking it's the picture with water is very close, because that's the funniest thing, that I already knew Jill when she made NerdQuest, and I was going to actually that last game afterwards you had filmed. So she came to me on Skype and said, it was horrible, there was mud and so much mud, and just look at the mud on my boots. And then a week after I took the Danish LARP game, and then I come home and say, you know nothing. And then I could just show a picture where I stand in front of my LARP tent and opening in, and there's just water up to here. Pure water, and I'm just standing there, and we drowned out there. There was a typhoon in the middle of it. I remember I was just searching refugee at a tent and so on while it rained, and then suddenly somebody said, who lives by the alchemist tent? And the entire LARP game stopped, and they had to make a fire line where they had to shovel up the water. No, of course, guys, you know nothing. You know nothing.
You know nothing, Phil.
Jill coming and said, oh, it was was so hot, we were up in the middle of the night, and look, there's mud on my boots. Nah. Well, we had water, not just mud, but water. And if you stepped the wrong place, because it was kind of at a hill, you would literally be in mud up until under your knee. It would just go. And we were running around in laughing games and so on.
Yeah, I'm too American for that nonsense. I have to. We don't go to people's houses.
Yeah, I reviewed the South Park game. That was a funny game. I really liked it. But yeah, it went through so many phases. At first, I wanted to be the happy, positive reviewer and so on. And I wanted to. At first, my show was called Red Suitcase Adventures. That I thought I would like a kind of children's host where I'm happy and positive and so on, and you get happy seeing me. And I'm still, again, I make positive video game reviews and talk about how I think it's a positive thing and so on. And I cannot be threatening for my life. And if I try to act angry, nobody takes me seriously. I tried being in front of my friend and tried to act angry, and he's like, "Oh, you're so cute when you're angry." No, I'm threatening. So I cannot make the dog walker like that. But then later I kind of figured out, no, if I want to make a dick joke, I want to make a dick joke. So I don't want to make the children's jokes anymore. I kind of want to be free for it and just do kind of whatever I like to do. And now I'm kind of just playing myself and just, making the jokes I think are funny. And of course, sometimes I goes a bit more off the rail than I usually do with my last video I posted. I kind of went through all of Sarkeesian's subjects and what you talked about, and I was a bit more harsher against them than I would be in Reality for Comedy Effect, where I kind of just was sitting eating a bag of crepes and like, I can't wait until she puts this up because Saga Nabakad is going to rip it apart and it's going to be glorious. And so on, but yeah, I'm just, sometimes enhancing things for comedy effects, but I'm mostly just playing myself now.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm playing really a character too much. I mean, it's a slightly exaggerated version of myself, but really I'm not sort of doing that thing where I'm sort of, I'm writing my opinion as a character, which is different from my opinion as it actually is, which seems like a strange way of working to me personally. So the opinions in my videos are my own opinions. So I really didn't like Equilibrium and so forth. Those were my actual opinions. I wasn't faking those. So that's pretty much it. I mean, when me and my friends started out, we were perhaps looking for a more sketch-orientated show than what ended up being. So I think there would be more of a character in that sort of way. I think most people remember me as a character more because of how Doug wrote me in those movies, in the crossover movies where he wrote me as this child. And some people were like, oh, Vilmo must not like that. No, I actually love doing that because that was fun. But I got to act and do things like that, which I don't normally get to do. So, yeah, I try to incorporate a little bit of that. I think I have I think I have a very sort of puppyish kind of vibe occasionally. So that's about it. I don't really try to intentionally play towards character really, so much as just I'm writing what seems right and or funny. So, yeah.
I'm going to tell you guys something that really only actually two other people know. And that is, so I wanted to do a really cool character, and I'm a writer. So I was like, oh, I have to do something really neat. I want to make these videos, but I gotta impress this girl, right? But I had a I still have a big fat face, but I had a bigger, fatter face back then. I was like, I can't put my big fat face on the internet. Everyone's gonna know, and they're gonna say, look at your big fat face on the internet. I'm like, I know it's a big fat face. So I'm like, I need to find a way to work in a mask. Yeah, like a masked reviewer. That's actually pretty stupid. So I had this whole science fiction kind of plot line that I was gonna do this whole thing just like, Lewis has all his big things and all his multiple characters. And it never ended up happening because I never learned how to use After Effects or do anything like that. So, no, I don't think anyone here has seen my original Omega reviews, have you?
Alright, that's my cat.
I love you.
Stroking with the sword.
Aww. I just confused. Mommy, what are you
wanted to be in the shop, damn it. She really wanted to be in the film.
It's actually a recurring thing with a lot of reviewers, cats.
That's true, because I had a big old bad cat who used to be involved. So I had this idea, right, because I had just come out of being heavily involved in one of the most toxic LARP environments in the world. There used to be a worldwide global LARP organization who had, affiliates in other countries, had an affiliate here, and that went to shit, and a lot of those people still play indie, but it was just a horrible situation. I finally get out of it, and so I really feel kind of like an Omega geek. I feel like, you ever go to like a D&D game or a LARP or a convention and there's like that guy or that girl that looks like, they were like the high school superstar, or like the most popular girl in school, but they're like, I totally love Star Wars. And the guy's like, yeah, I was the quarterback of the football team, but I love Lord of the Rings. And you're like, that's cool, see, I guess normal people like geeky things too, but then they like really treat everyone else like shit. Tell me that you know who these people are. Just like, yeah. They're like, well, you're too awkward, and you smell bad, and you're fat, and you walk funny. And those kind of people are kind of like alpha geeks. They're the kinds of people that, get to be on G4. Is G4 a thing over here? There was a pretendy, like MTV-backed video game channel called G4 for a while in America. But they're the people who are always getting interviewed at conventions by, like, the news. They're like, yeah, I totally like Lord of the Rings. Gleam off the teeth. So those are the kind of people that I was coming from. And I was like, oh, they're like alpha geeks. So I had this whole background where my character had fallen afoul of a group of people who, for some reason, had the tech skills to be contracted by the Defense Department. And so my character was taken down in Patapsco State Park and kidnapped. And woke up in a holding cell because, do you remember what the reason was? There was some kind of signal that they were trying to track that was going through my character's brain. They finally decided, we're never going to get this signal, and just dispose of the prisoner. So they go to pith my character. Does anyone know what pithing is? No, because you don't have to do that anymore in school. Basically, back in the day when you used to have to murder animals in science class, you would do what's called pithing the frog. You would have a live frog, and you would take a pin. I never did this. They did this back in the 60s. You would take a pin, and you would insert it into the frog or the animal's spinal column. And you would basically sever the spinal cord, leaving the brain alive, but paralyzed. It was really horrible. But you were supposed to do this so the animal's body would still be functioning, and you could take it apart and see how it works. And it's a horrible practice. They don't do that anymore. But so we're going to pith my character, and one of the bad guys, his cell phone drops. And she's like, I see my opportunity with her last bit of strength. I don't know why this was a good plan. Smashes the cell phone, and the electricity, combined with the act of being pithed, shunted her into a thing called recursive infinity, which is the space between two mirrors. And no, it's really cool, see, right? And that's why she was awoke in a white room, which was the corner of my kitchen. Because I lived alone in an apartment, and this is going to work. And so that's why it's a white room, and I had a sidekick. I still do. I was like a little plushy lobster that I won in one of those skill crane machines for 25 cents in New Jersey. And the lobster was named Giovanni Jones. And he talked like this, because it's exactly how lobster would sound, because of course they have lips. And so he was her only sidekick. And there was this whole big thing about actually she was beyond the end of the world. And there was this group called the Progenitor Grex, who were the keepers of the Akashic Record and all the wealth of all the knowledge of humanity, who were coming back in time, and they kind of saved her. But then they had this thing called the Legacy, which was the wealth of all humanity. And Giovanni Jones was a relic of the Legacy. He actually never existed. He was, no, really, this is really cool, you guys. I'm really brilliant.
Write a novel.
I'm working on it. Yeah, he was, you didn't know this, his personality was an amalgamation of all of those who cared for her in life.
Actually, I did know that.
Oh yeah, that's true, I told you. And there was going to be this big finale where, like, basically the only way she could save existence was to go to the corner of Time Sweep and Thunder Hill, which is a real intersection in Columbia, Maryland. Because isn't that awesome, the corner of Time Sweep and Thunder Hill? Wouldn't you want to live there?
Yes.
It's just a suburban house, it's not exciting, but... And it was going to be grand, and then I got lazy, so there you go.
So now Omega is a we don't know how her character escaped from recursive infinity
Just
with
so many
Giovanni,
of them.
but she now lives with my character's compound and basically hangs out with my character's minions because she's in love with my character. But my character's just like stalk of the knot minion. You can hang out with me at conventions.
It's gonna happen eventually.
And we're gonna do we've done a couple of crossovers together.
Yeah.
Not in a couple of years, but we're gonna do one for a lesbian sugar-based porno.
Yeah, I was gonna go clubbing with a friend of mine, and I got to his house, and he and a friend of ours were sitting down on the couch. He's like, "Oh, I'm glad you got here early. We're watching this porn." Like you do. And I was like, "Oh, hi."
Who's
And
the
it
best kind of friend?
was
Was saying, I have porn, do you want to watch it?
He's a great guy. He's my best and oldest friend, so you know how that goes. Actually, no, he's my oldest friend. My best friend is somebody else, but so
So you were watching that, and then later on she was like, you need to get this film. This would be awesome for you to review. Then I found a copy, but then
we'll see what happened, and then let that guy go because he really wants to ask a question. Yeah.
way too much money later, I have a copy, and I'm gonna do I've written a crossover for
Tell
both
them
of us.
where it ended up and how it was awkward. It was really awkward.
Oh, this is a good story. Okay. My parents went to Disney World last summer, and I was like looking after the cats. I was there, and a friend of mine came over, and we spent a few days watching movies, doing vlogs, taking notes for reviews. One of the movies we took notes for was Sugar High Glitter City. Now we had a PC in the room, and we were using that for most things, but for some reason we decided to use the Blu-ray for this one. Guess what happened? Well, about a week after my parents got back, I was informed that someone had left a lesbian porno in their Blu-ray player, and they were pretty sure it wasn't theirs. Luckily, my parents know full well what I do, so I don't think most people would be able to be believed with the excuse that I gave, but they accepted it quite readily because technically it's the truth. But I really thought we used the PC for that, so I'm a little bit concerned that my friend might have put it in the Blu-ray player as a prank. Maybe not, but question.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I love it when reviewers like yourself and Linkara do storylines. I was kind of hoping in future, is there any chance of Hagan screwing with Linkara's spaceship in some way? Because I think that would be awesome.
I would love to do that. The main problem would be that I would either need a really good green screen setup, which I don't have, or I would have to be over at Linkara's. I mean, I'd be happy to do it, but we live pretty far away from each other.
He lives in one of those states where nobody goes. Like Wisconsin Motor.
But
He's still have an ex-fiance there.
But he said that if his movie's a success, he does hope to direct an anniversary special.
Oh, brilliant.
But that's...
Is that public knowledge?
Well, he mentioned it at a panel.
Okay.
So I hope it's public knowledge.
Because I don't want to get in trouble.
So, I don't know, maybe in the future at some point. Because it's nice that Channel Awesome has a built-in all-purpose villain, even though they never bother flying anywhere.
Because there was a lunchtime conversation many Magfests ago, and I think you were all filming a cameo for somebody. She'll film a cameo if you ask her, usually. But there was a whole bunch of people talking, and everyone was whinging and be like, "Why don't we ever do anniversary stuff anymore?" And Lois was like, "Well, maybe I'll write one." He said it just like that too. And I said, "Look," I said, "I work 2 jobs. I make pretty okay money right now. If you want to have Diamanda Hagan in, ask me, and I will pay her for her to fly out." Everyone was like, "Oh yeah, sure, that's a great idea." And so hopefully, if an anniversary film does come to be, I have less money. I'll pay for pounds. Well, no, because pounds though. So I'll pay for 75%. Does anyone else have any questions? Yonder.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about well, I mean, obviously we've all been to a fair number of conventions. I'm just sort of wondering what are the more interesting things, any interesting anecdotes from the conventions you've been to. And what's actually piqued this question in my mind is because I've heard rumours that someone once tried to wax Matthew, and I'm just curious.
You better go first, man.
That person being Lindsay, nostalgia chick. Yeah, she. I'm quite a hairsuit person. You can probably tell by my arms and so forth. She wanted to wax me for the longest time on the anniversary movie set, so Yeah, that's where that story comes from. I have con stories, but a lot of them I'm sort of afraid of telling just because they might still be watching my videos and I don't want to embarrass them. I'm sort of nice like that, so yeah.
I have one from a convention in Ireland. The first time I went to BroCon in Limerick, that's when Spoonie was over, and I literally went because it was nice to be able to meet Spoonie without having to fly to fucking America. So I went there, and I brought with me one of the people who work on the show. She plays the Avatar Decent Humor, and she was wandering around the con floor, and then there was this lovely lady who would make cupcakes and sell them, and she was like, she was trying to buy one of the cupcakes, and the lady was like, "You sound familiar. Do you do an internet show?" He's like, "Oh, I help out Diamanda Hagan." He's like, "Diamanda, and I recognize you. You're amazing. I love you." And he's like, "Oh, it's Hagan here." He's like, "Yeah, Hagan's over there sitting beside Spoonie." Spoonie's here! Spoonie was the featured guest. Somehow this one missed that. But BroCon's wonderful because ever since they worked out that I was, living in Ireland, they were like, "Wait a sec, we can get someone from Channel Awesome and don't have to fly them from anywhere." Awesome! So they have me. You have one?
Yeah, I got one.
Is this gonna get dark?
No. How many people do you think I've murdered at conventions? No.
Just the one.
We don't,
17.
We don't talk about that. There's a reason that I'm in Europe. No, before I got involved with these people, most of the conventions I went to were LARP conventions, where basically you would walk around in incredibly elegant clothes, scowling at people, until you got involved in a combat, which lasted about 10 hours, and then you drank. So I was looking after a roommate of mine, and I met a Canadian who I was close with, and the Canadian said, "Oh, it's good to see you again. Look, I brought Canadian whiskey." And I said, "Oh, that's grand. I brought pirate rum from America." "Oh, that's great." We're in Michigan, by the way. And so we started drinking that, and a friend of mine came up to me, "Oh, you guys, I brought the water of life," because he had a chemist make up this drink that if you actually did it wrong could put you in the hospital. But you could drink it until your face was numb and you should probably be fine. I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then my friend wobbles over later on in the night and sits down. And goes like this. And I said, "You doing okay?" And I'm getting pretty on there because, I've been drinking most of the night. And she goes, "You know what? You should drink more." And I said, "Honey, you've been drinking Mike's Hard Lemonade all night. I've been drinking grown-up drinks, like spirits." And she goes, "No, you should drink more. You know that little thing in the back of your head that tells you, okay, you need to stop right about now. If you stop now, you will be fine. I promise you it will be grand." I was like, nah, it'll be grand. And so about an hour later, I look over and she's nothing anymore. She's kind of like, And I said, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "The music is making my stomach hurt." And I said, "Okay, we gotta get you up to bed." And so I stand up, and that's where my troubles began. Because I started walking her down the hall, and the hall was doing that camera thing going, oh shit. Jesus fuck!
I know for a fact that's...
Don't make that noise anymore! You're banned from our panel. Go away. You guys just don't even know. Just come let the camera see. Come let the see. Show what you've done. Oh Jesus! Come in front. Just keep coming back. No. This is how we died.
Not with a bang, but with a
There's
puppet.
this horrible cosplayer who snuck up on us.
Come forward, you're still not on screen.
With a head like that, don't trip over that big cord because health and safety. Alright, you're right. Come right here. Come right behind over. I don't know how to feel right now.
Terrified.
Turned on.
No.
So whose job was it to salt the door free? Because you didn't do it.
I'm American. If I die in this country, the State Department will come. Just saying. So I get this friend into the lift, and she's like, and I said, "Are you okay?" And that was code for, "You're not gonna puke on me, right? Right? You're not gonna puke on me." And so, so we got her into the room, and I'm basically, the little meter on the top of the mission is running down until I pass out.
He's just going to stand there for the rest of the evening, isn't he?
And so our other guy in the room was there, and he was one of those, like, you know, big guys who was like, "Don't worry, I take care of all the women in my days." So I'm like, "All right, great. And he puts her to bed, and she goes, "Why is the room spinning?" And he said, maybe you just need to stand up for a while." So this is happening, and the last thing I remember is laying down on my air mattress. That's the last thing I remember. And then somebody trying to take my boots off. I'm like, "No, not my boots, no." And then the next thing I remember is someone saying, "Well, we better wake Amanda up." And I woke up and I am so hot. I'm sweating. I'm under the blanket, and I realize, I get up to go use the bathroom, and I realize that I'm still wearing the clothes that I went to sleep in. But my sleep trousers and sleep shirt are on underneath that. And I said, "Did anyone move me while I was asleep? Did I get sick or anything? Did anything happen?" They said, "No, you kind of crashed, and then Josh came and took your boots off, and you didn't seem to like that much, but we just left you be." So I realized that I woke up at some point in the night, undressed, redressed, and then dressed again. And this was the first time I was hungover, and that's all I have to say. I wasn't drunk for a second.
No, but
So
you let her go, and then you can go again. Egalitarianism.
I don't really have...
Under the eyes of the demon.
It's called that.
All hail the Dark Lord.
Bitch, that's me.
I don't really have any stories like that. I haven't been to any of the big cons. I've been to a lot of cons in Denmark, but those are children's cons, so you don't have an age limit, so you can't do stuff like that. I think the biggest thing that happened to me was just the first time I went to ALcon. I went there because you know that I make video reviews, and then suddenly Dog Walker and Benedict Sage and Film Friend and so on was invited here, and I just contacted them. I was like, "You should invite me too." I'm important too, and I knew Jill Barrow at the time, so as a Mercer whom had been in NerdQuest, so that was kind of my entrance. It's just like, "I'm going to walk with you because I know Jill." I'm important. I'm just going to pretend I'm one of you guys, and I was actually, for some reason, you guys just allowed me in the group, and I was just sitting there in the VIP room with Doc Walker and with Bennett and with you guys, and just, I'm inside. I don't know what's happening. And and Brenton Floss was there, and he got drunk, and I got drunk, and we just kind of flirted, and I was sitting on his lap, and he actually remembered who I was last year too. I don't know. So it's just kind of, I had no place being there at all, because I was not a part of General Awesome, I was not in NerdQuest. I just knew Jill, who was in NerdQuest.
You need like a t-shirt that says "Friend of Jill."
Yes, friend of Jill. I know, Sister Mercer, we have done crossovers. So I really have no place being here, but it's kind of just been my entrance. It's just, I know these people, I've been to con with them, I'm important too. So that and then it just took me with them to out and eating and so on, and I'm still here. I invited myself. I also make internet videos. Can I have a panel? Yes. Thank you. Now I'm also, I guess, I'm so unimportant. I'm just pretending to be a part of the group, and it's still working.
Do you know if you want to say what you want to say?
Oh yeah, they were
Okay,
like peeking at
okay.
me.
This is a story from the first Magfest I went to.
This was epic.
Okay, Nella decided, because Tintin had just come out of the cinema, that a couple of select people should go to see Tintin. And this sort of ballooned into about 40 people going. And
Because everyone was like, oh, I'm going with them. And then we were all like, oh, sure. And they're like, you're going right. I'm like, I'm not important. They're like, you're with Hagan.
so there was about 40 of us, and probably in about 12 or 15 cars. And Nella decided, rather than talk to someone who lived in the area, like Omega, to find out where the most appropriate cinema is, Nella just did some Google foo and was like, closest cinema to the Gaylord National Harbour. So we all went there.
We ended up in Oxon Hill, Maryland. You don't want to be in Oxon Hill, Maryland. We were 5 minutes away from the Potomac Yard AMC 14. Well, we ended up in Oxon Hill, Maryland.
And this thing, which apparently was in a bad neighbourhood, and Tintin, this was, 8 at night, 9 at night, something like that?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
And apparently there was no one in the hood who was interested in seeing the adventures of 1940s Belgian white people who were CGI. So we had the entire cinema to ourselves. So cue the largest live riff ever done in internet reviewing ever, which included Lindsay, Nella, Bennett the Sage, us two, Maddie, Linkara, Derek the Bard. Who else?
Karen was there. All of the Canadians were there. Like a whole bunch of some of Lindsay's friends who I've never seen them again. I think
there's a photo online of all of us together, and it was amazing. I think someone might have come in partway through and sort of just quickly noticed that it was pointless to even try and sit down and sort of left. But that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you all of you for coming to this panel. I'm sorry if I'm very tired right now. I've not had a brilliant day. I'm going to be honest, because I've been a bit ill today, so I apologise if I'm sort of flatlining by this point. But thank you all for coming. I hope we've entertained you. We've somehow managed to fill 2 hours, despite not being accompanied by a bar in this case. So thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed all of us reminiscing and all of that. That scares the shit out of me. And yeah, thank you all for coming. Thank you.